Part 3 of Dragon Ball Legends 7th Anniversary isn't going to be dropping for another week or so. And so, I kind of ran out of video ideas, which is why I want to see what you guys have to say about the Ultra dropping very soon. Hey, Grimmy here, and today I'm going to be looking at your predictions as to who the 7th Anniversary Ultra is going to be, using the comments from my predictions video, which you can check here. Let's just jump right into it. So first off, right, I asked in the comment section, what Ultra do you think could save Part 3 of the 7th Anniversary? Let me know your pick, and if mine sounds right, hit that like button. Okay, wait, hold on, that's just a bunch of fuzz. We don't really need that. I see every day. Says, one thing I've never seen anyone mention is the ground battle picks. By that I mean that there's only 3 different ground battle battlefields or stages that I'm aware of. Do tell if you know any more, and I'm pretty sure there aren't any. And what I find interesting is one of them is Tournament of Power, matching Part 1, the other is the Rocky Fields, matching Part 2, and the last one I've seen is Destroyed Future, which is actually the last and only 3rd stage that we have. This is making me believe the Ultra could be some sort of hope, or fusing Vegito, some sort of future unit to fit with the ground battle pick. And yeah, I think this is a brilliant analysis coming from IC every day. And I didn't actually point it out in this video, but this is actually like a completely valid take. And honestly, it really gives justification for people who think that it's going to be Ultra Sword of Hope Trunks, Ultra Half-Corrupted Fusion Zamasu, for example. Those are definitely 2 Ultras that I could see actually dropping in the anniversary now with an argument like this. I was definitely expecting to see one of those comments appear first, but the fact that we got this comment first is definitely really nice, so I can just point this out right away. I definitely think Sword of Hope Trunks, Fusion Zamasu have like a fair shot now of actually appearing as the 7th Anniversary Ultra. And if they are going to make it a dual Ultra celebration, that would actually make a lot of sense, pairing a villain character like Zamasu with a protagonist character like Trunks, in the hopes that they'd work together to move Legends into an actual top-grossing position. Well, according to a Victor Moy here, 2050, so man's coming from the future here. Well, based on the anniversary, I'm thinking Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, but it might be someone else to bring back some teams. Maybe, as you said, Ultra Super Saiyan 3 Goku to bring back Buu Saga, but now that I think about that, Ultra Majin Vegeta should be even more boosted. Sorry, would be even more boosted, so apart for these two, I don't know. And according to my Demelker, I don't know if I'm butchering that or what, I think the GT Bros will work best. However, it'll be a pain getting them and adds to Legends running out of Ultras. It'll still be good. And I agree with this. I definitely don't want Majin Buu Saga, more specifically Majin Vegeta being the threat that he is, to kind of continue being a problem, because in this video I essentially predicted that one of the likely Ultras we're going to see is Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the end of the Majin Buu Saga. And so I guess that's definitely a fair rebuttal to kind of counter my opinion on Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And here, a lot of people actually, not just Victor, points out the fact that we might actually get a dual Ultra, so 2 separate banners releasing at the same time, specifically for the GT Bros, Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. And the only qualm I have with that is that Ultra rates are still bad. So if the devs are going to make a dual Ultra event, like, I definitely want to see them improve the rates, also make an Ultra pity system, as well as just make better steps, right? Because frankly, the step system that we have now isn't necessarily too bad, but I definitely want it to be a little bit better. And not only that, obviously Legends is trying their best to save their most premium characters, so obviously with dual releases they're gonna run out of characters even quickly, as Melker said over here. Personally, I like the sound of Super Saiyan 3 Goku a lot more than Super Saiyan 4 Daimaku, but if they want to go down the Super Saiyan 4 route, I would much prefer they do Super Saiyan 4 Baby Fight Goku, who would also fit into this whole Ultimate Rivals narrative in a very poetic manner. And obviously there isn't necessarily any clarification from Nathan24643, 634, sorry. I got the last 2 digits switched up there. Obviously, I don't really mind the Ultra being Super Saiyan 4 GT Goku as opposed to a Daima version. I'd actually prefer that. It's just that as of making this video, and even right now as I'm recording this one, I can't particularly think of how you'd make a justification for the Ultimate Rivals theme, right? Because if... Actually, I don't really remember this correctly at all. I'm trying to remember the Dokkan animation for this guy, for the unit that we're talking about here. Is Vegeta even there for the Super Saiyan 4 full power transformation? Like, I don't even remember. But obviously, a GT character would be much nicer. It'll definitely affect the meta in a more positive way because it doesn't add on to toxic teams. And obviously, it's a pretty good pick because everyone loves Goku, and Super Saiyan 4, the GT version, I think will receive a lot of love because the Daima version of the Super Saiyan form, obviously very toxic and obviously deserving of a lot of hate from the community. Giovanni 98,000 says that March 2025, we got the 2 top characters from Daima. Last great saga we had, or last series we had. April 2025, the 2 top characters from Dragon Ball Saga. The first great saga or series we had. May 2025, the 2 top characters from Dragon Ball Super, the saga that came right before Daima. In June 2025, the 2 top characters from Dragon Ball Z came after Dragon Ball Saga. Guess who is missing on the schedule? Ultra Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, confirmed. LF Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta After Party. Obviously, this confidence is definitely, I wish I had this level of confidence in commenting on YouTube. And again, definitely a fair take, right? Because this is also even more justification for Ultra Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And it more takes a perspective from like how these characters have been released, what series are they from, and so there's definitely a strong basis on that. This is something that I would see the devs and the production team actually writing on a whiteboard, so very, very believable in my opinion. And obviously GT is the only series being missing in this particular conversation here, in this particular scheme, so there's definitely a bit of evidence backing up Ultra GT Goku, right? And then LF Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta After Party is definitely a bit of a more of an interesting sprinkle to it. Honestly, I'm not against it, but... And I mean, you know, honestly, I'm pretty interested in seeing how they would actually make the animations for an LF Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I'm not necessarily against it, but I feel like the After Party is a conversation in itself that I'll save for after Part 3. Gogeta Blue 9491 says, we should get a red character. There are so many yellow characters that are strong after months. And that's a fair take. I definitely think that in terms of Ultras, we did get Ultra Cell, who is a red character and obviously pretty damn strong. So I'm honestly like not too torn on the character's color. With Ultras is obviously not too big of a problem because they don't drop all that often, right? So yeah, I mean, you know, we have Gohan Beast and Ultra Majin Vegeta, who are both yellow units, but we also have Ultra Perfect Cell and Ultra Hit with his Platinum equipment, who are red and technically color counter them. So, but it's like, I don't want to see a blue Ultra either, because we have LF Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku, as well as LF MUI Goku, right? Both blue units, so I don't really want to see a blue unit either. I wouldn't mind the character being green, to be honest, and purple is definitely a bit of an interesting choice, but I wouldn't mind that either. And so Duck Duck Goose, moving on, says that we need an Ultra Dragon Ball Super Broly. This has to happen. And honestly, I think that's a pretty interesting take. A lot of people actually really want to see Ultra Dragon Ball Super Broly, specifically his full power Super Saiyan form, which is understandable, right? Probably one of the strongest characters to come out of Dragon Ball Super in terms of anime and movies, aside from a character like Cell Max, for example, especially on the antagonist side. And that's really the problem that I have with this, is that Broly is an antagonist character. Unfortunately, as many antagonist fans as there are, there will always be more protagonist fans, almost always, right? The odds of Legends getting top grossing for a character like Gogeta is significantly higher compared to a character like Broly, despite the fact that they may even come from the same movie. And so, if the devs do choose to drop an Ultra Dragon Ball Super Broly, I'd imagine they'd also have an Ultra good guy paired up with it. Maybe another Gogeta, which would be interesting to see how they'd manage that, but they'd be taking a huge risk in kind of sacrificing the opportunity of top grossing for the sake of just one Ultra, and that Ultra being Dragon Ball Super Broly. Again, I'm not saying that he's not a hype character, but it's just that there are certain factors, mainly him being an antagonist in his own movie, being a pretty big problem holding him back when it comes to him dropping on a celebration as important as the 7th anniversary, because I obviously discussed the criteria more in this particular video, but like, you know, yeah, you'll get it. I mean, if we're talking about the conclusion of their rivalry, so they could finally fight side by side, then I feel like they could do a Tag Ultra from the Kid Buu fight, or Super Gogeta that has glimpses of Goku and Vegeta in his attacks or ultimate, which would be a very interesting concept. Though, I mentioned here in the reply that the Super Gogeta one would be interesting, but I think he'd have to be from Dragon Ball Super Broly because we already have a Super Gogeta from Fusion Reborn. And that is definitely an interesting point, right? There's no way, we're still missing like a few Ultra representations here and there, so I can't imagine the devs kind of going in and making essentially another Super Gogeta exactly the same from Fusion Reborn, like the one we already have, the one with a platinum equipment. So to me, I think they would definitely have to make the character a bit different if they were to ever drop a Super Gogeta with like these Goku or Vegeta shadows in the background whenever Gogeta does an attack. Like, I think that would be a pretty cool concept. But taking it from Dragon Ball Super, I feel like makes the character a bit more unique, because we don't actually have Dragon Ball Super version of Gogeta, who is Super Gogeta, more specifically. I got a feeling with it being both of them for part 1 and 2, knowing how hype it was for the first Tag Blue Boys, there's a good chance we could get the first Tag Ultras. And this is actually a take I've seen a lot on the internet recently, though I do have some issues with it, I suppose, because the thing is like, when we're talking about Ultras in Dragon Ball Legends, we've never even seen an Ultra who can transform normally, the way regular Sparklings do. And all of a sudden people are starting to jump the shark and assume that the next Ultra is going to be a tag character. Technically a version of a character who is beyond transforming, right? Because the way the character is kind of released would be transforming characters, and then revival characters, and then probably tag characters, right? So the fact that we haven't even seen regular transforming Ultra units definitely puts a dampen on the idea that, you know, we may actually see an Ultra tag unit for the 7th anniversary, but I wouldn't be against it, right? In this particular video, I mentioned that it would be Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the Majin Buu saga, and if Vegeta is going to be included into the unit as a tag character, right? But, like, regarding the character, I don't really mind. Again, it would probably be a meta problem where Ultra Majin Vegeta would get buffed, like, to an insane degree, but Tag Ultras, I don't really feel like is very plausible, but I'd be more than happy to be proven wrong. Giannina2632 says, I just want a Kefla. And Yamoshi TY actually says, same. And that's kind of a sad thing, because I mentioned in my previous video, not this one, like the one that came after, discussing part 3 as well. Unfortunately, I don't really think that Kefla is a character who can really get a fair shot of being in an anniversary, right? I feel like the demand for Ultra Kefla is very real. A lot of people actually share this this desire for Kefla, even though I can't imagine why. Obviously, I feel like we're going to get an Ultra Kefla someday, and with popular demand, I feel like they're only going to rush for release even sooner. But for an anniversary, a celebration at least as big as the 7th anniversary, hyped up to be probably the best celebration in the game's history, I can't imagine the devs taking such a massive risk of dropping a character like Ultra Kefla. In a moment where I think most of the community is really on edge, very much at the edge of their seat, looking forward to see what the devs can come up with for the Ultra that will essentially save the 7th anniversary's reputation in the eyes of people who view it negatively from the updates that we've gotten so far. Spectral 3015 says, hope it is a tag Synchro Gauge Super Gogeta Ultra. It would be revolutionary for Ultra characters and would go nuts. And this is, to me, again, an interesting take, right? Before I discussed how tag characters are kind of jumping too far ahead, talking about character evolutions, and while we're on that, while we're talking about tag characters in themselves, right? Tag characters with Synchro Gauges is even farther than that. I feel like the fact that we've never seen a transforming Ultra before, never seen a reviving Ultra before with a different form after reviving, right? Because we've only seen comeback Ultras thus far. To think that the next Ultra is going to be a tag character who has a Synchro Gauge, who transforms into a character that we don't even have the LF version of yet, I just feel like that's a little too much. Like, that's taking it a little too far. And so forcing essentially this version of Tag Goku and Vegeta to have a Synchro Gauge on top of being a tag character, while also being an Ultra, and essentially being a version of a character where we're expecting an LF first and we don't even have that yet, I feel like is a bit of a stretch. Though again, I wouldn't mind Super Gogeta being an Ultra again, like as long as they manage to make him a little bit different from the Super Gogeta that we have right now. And I also don't really mind an Ultra tag character either. I don't mind to be proven wrong, right? If Spectral 3015 here gets it right on the money for this particular celebration, that would be dope. right? Though that would definitely spark up a bit of conversation as to how the LF is going to be made, because they would essentially be the exact same character. But honestly, to me, not my first pick, while again, I do think that would actually be very hype like you mentioned here. A Perfection E9E actually commented twice. I think we should get an Ultra's Jiren. It's been a while since a good Jiren unit was released, and I think we should get a playable Ultra Ozaru. That would be sick. And yeah, I mentioned how I really wanted to see full power battles introduce giant fights, possibly even a giant ape form. That would be pretty cool. That would be like pretty dope, right? As a playable character, I think we're definitely a bit far off from that, considering that the devs never actually took a step to make the current LF Saiyan Saga Vegeta have a great ape transformation. I do think that we're still a little bit far off from actually getting a giant character. Whereas for Ultra Jiren, I feel like his chances are actually pretty decent, though compared to someone like Ultra Trunks or Ultra Zamasu, I definitely think those two characters have a greater chance compared to Jiren. But Jiren has a non-zero chance of actually appearing in the 7th anniversary, though honestly, I definitely think he'd belong on a different celebration outside of the 7th anniversary. Some guys 7110. I'm gonna throw a curveball and say Ultra Beerus. I think that's a pretty interesting take. I'd love to see Beerus using a Hakai like the one he did against Zamasu as a kind of execution ability that he can use against characters with revives, indestructibles, comebacks, and completely nullify them. That would shake up the meta in such a huge way, and honestly, I'd love to see it, especially with the battlefield being Future Saga inspired. There's definitely a chance there, even though that whole scene never actually happened in the Ruined City, right? Though I do think that Ultra Beerus, while he may not necessarily get an Ultra necessarily this 7th anniversary for this part 3, at the very least I do actually want to see that in the near future, because it's a pretty hype character and honestly people don't really talk about him enough. Also, I like Penguins says Ultra Demon King Piccolo. I'd say a good free-to-play Ultra option. Again, I wouldn't really mind if they drop one summonable Ultra and one free-to-play Ultra, and if it happens to be Demon King Piccolo, I wouldn't really mind at all. If they release a Daima Ultra, I'm leaving this game, bro. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a very relatable take, talking about a Daima Ultra. I did mention in this video that Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku actually has a decent shot. And if that's the case, well, I mean, the meta is officially screwed, the anniversary possibly cooked. Definitely not exactly the best choice. So yeah, I mean, like, while there is a lot of evidence backing the character's position and possibility, I definitely don't want it to happen. My mind says Goku or Vegeta, my heart wants Kefla. Ooh, pop-up luck, thank you. My funny bone says Yamcha, my wild card says Krillin or Piccolo, but my gut fears Gohan. Objectively correct answer. This is from Dom Encina 77, as well as a Kaisel 5975. I mean, this is a pretty interesting take. Obviously, your mind saying Goku or Vegeta is definitely the more logical opinion, but my gut fears Gohan is such a real take, in my opinion. This is like, absolutely, bro. Super relatable. Honestly, that is a pretty big fear, though it doesn't really immediately come to mind as to which version of Gohan we would see. Probably Ultra Super Saiyan 2 BoJack movie Gohan, and someone I believe did suggest that as well. But yeah, I mean, like, these characters are all possible. Definitely, Kefla is a bit of a sleeper option. Yamcha, honestly, I would take as a free-to-play Ultra, whereas Krillin and Piccolo, I mean, it obviously depends on the version of the character, but even a Krillin, I wouldn't mind a free Ultra Krillin, just so long as it's a free Ultra. But what do you think about the Part 3 Ultra? Did your prediction actually get featured in this video? If so, let me know in the comment section down below. And if not, you want to see me do this again, just in anticipation of Part 3, definitely let me know about that as well. If you want to check out this actual video regarding Ultra predictions, you can check out the video on your left. And if you want a more in-depth breakdown as to what I think in terms of events and various other things that the devs should take a look at for the Part 3 to make the 7th anniversary that much better, you can look at the video on the right. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Bye, thanks for watching, never stay perfect, always get better. Peace.